Welcome back to this special edition of Hannity. Today we got excellent news from Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He just revoked the legal status of and deported an illegal immigrant from Laos who sexually abused a young girl. Take a look.
Laotian national Tu Li Vang was convicted of repeatedly sexually abusing a 10-year-old girl in the state of Minnesota. He even tried to pay his victim for her silence, and he called his heinous crimes a minor thing. Just days before this foreign sex offender was scheduled to be deported, Tim Walz, the governor, issued him a pardon, setting him free to once again endanger the children of America. Well, this week I revoked his legal status in the United States, and as a result, federal agents took him into custody, and as of today, he has been removed from the United States. Because of our action, this foreign criminal will never pose a threat to any American ever again.
Remember, we've covered this story. This is the illegal immigrant who Tim Walz pardoned in an effort to prevent his deportation. Here's how Border Czar Tom Homan responded.
What would you say now to Governor Tim Walz?
Can't say it on air, but look, who pardons a child sex offender, child rapist? I mean, that's how much he supports illegal aliens over U.S. citizens, U.S. citizen children. I'm glad Marco Rubio did this, but you know, this happens more times you can guess, Will.
President Trump and his team take border security seriously. Under Trump, there has been a sharp spike in the number of people on terror watch lists arrested at the southern border. And ICE is now arresting 2,000 illegals a day for deportation. Here now with reaction are the founder of Endeavor PAC, Tiffany Smiley, and Fox News contributor, Deroy Murdock. Deroy, I think Tom Homan is absolutely right. There are many more stories that never come to light, and this is happening. What in the world was the Biden administration thinking from a policy perspective, a national security perspective, and a political perspective of letting in upwards of 11 million illegals and then turning around in the case of Tim Walz, almost our vice president, and deporting a man who was sexually assaulting a 10-year-old girl? What is the defense? What is even the rationale here?
I don't know what the rationale is other than to get as many of these folks in as possible. Hope at some point they get amnesty and that they start voting Democrat. That's the only logical reason to let these people under Joe Biden come into this country by the millions and remain here. And this wasn't just a one-shot deal. This guy was raping this 10-year-old girl for 2 years between ages of 10 to 12. And then he just defended. He said that this is a cultural thing to marry and have sex with girls as young as 12. So he bragged about it. And this didn't happen a couple years ago. He got a criminal conviction in 2006. His final order of removal was October 31, 2006. That's Halloween 2006, almost 20 years ago. So this guy's been hanging around for 20 years after he was convicted of child rape. And thank God that Marco Rubio revoked his status, kicked him out of the country, finally deported. And I hope he stays out of the United States and never comes back here ever again.
And Tiffany, it's so true. Secretary Rubio proved that sometimes the only thing standing between common sense and certainly justice on the one hand and allowing this man the same rights that the three of us have, that we all have, had they forgiven him, given him amnesty, is will, is common sense, and he exercised it. Now, look, you run for office, you raise your family in what's known as a, quote, blue state, but it's not a stupid state. So in Maine, the Democrats, they withstood a Nazi tattoo, abuse allegations, making fun of a Purple Heart, you name it, Graham Plattner. Does a story like this make people rethink their allegiance to a party that would allow this to happen? Really, what is the pressure point for some of these liberals in your state and elsewhere?
Yeah, that's a question you have to ask, Kellyanne. And, you know, all I can think of is thank goodness that Kamala Harris, who was the quote unquote border czar, and Tim Walz as our vice president are not leading our country right now. Can you imagine what it would look like? It was already heading down a path with an open border, allowing people to come in, rapists, terrorists to come into our country and threaten hardworking Americans, moms who are trying to raise their kids. I mean, if Tim Walz didn't need any more bad PR future, it's like, what are we doing? And not only that, they wanted power, and they think that this is their way to gain power by somehow supporting criminals, rapists, illegal immigrants over the American people. But I do not think it will stand. It cannot stand. We keep asking, how bad does it have to get? Well, it looks like it has to get this bad. The future for the Democrats, if they cannot coalesce and come together, standing up for common sense issues, protecting children in this country, I think it's going to set up a very interesting midterm.
And Deroy, the cost of illegal immigration, okay, not every illegal immigrant here is a criminal, that's obvious, but the cost is staggering. We saw the recent report from the Fed about the housing cost going up for the rest of us. You live in New York. Obviously, if they're staying at the Roosevelt Hotel and getting cash and new clothing. Tell us about that. Tell us about the economic impact of illegal immigration on a city like New York and really on our country.
Well, we certainly saw it under the Biden years here in New York City, where these folks were coming in up, by the busload. They'd get off at Port Authority. They'd go to Times Square, where they were literally getting free hotel rooms. They were getting free health care. Their kids were getting free education. A lot of these were criminals, so the NYPD and the law enforcement agencies had to spend money to track these folks down and often arrest them and prosecute them if they were engaged in violent crime. A lot of them did. So yeah, there's enormous economic impact from all of this. And, I think that even if you're someone who says, look, let's be nice to these people, give them a break, give them some health care, whatever, you'd think we'd be able to agree, all right, you rape a 10-year-old, yeah, I got to get out of the country. And Tim Walz and the Democrats in Minnesota, they didn't believe that. They thought, hey, let's pardon this guy. And Tim Walz came out and said, I do not see how it would serve his family nor the economic interest where we have a taxpaying citizen who is creating job growth and living a life free from any criminal activity. Not a taxpaying citizen, an illegal alien who raped a 10-year-old girl for 2 years and was convicted 20 years ago and hung out for 20 years after he was given an order for deportation. And Tim Walz, rather than saying, get this guy out of here, said, let's just pardon him and say some nice things about him. These are sick, twisted people. And the idea that Tim Walz could have been vice president of the United States really is terrifying, especially in the context of what happened in this case.
Yes, you both made that excellent point. Tiffany, Deroy, thank you.
All right, thanks for watching. Check out my new podcast, Hanging Out with me, Sean Hannity. The big interviews, the debates you won't get anywhere else. Like and subscribe for new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday.